This is my first YouTube video, and to begin, I think I'd like to start a series on reflections I have, and hopefully to you guys, the viewers, the three of you that are going to watch this video, hopefully it'll be beneficial. I'm Abdurrahman, and this is episode 1 of Reflections. So in this episode, I'd like to speak about sacrifices. Sacrifices are inevitable. Everyone will make sacrifices. Sacrifices are inevitable. Sometimes, at least in my experience, you can either choose your sacrifice or the sacrifice will be chosen for you. So, if I was to give an example, if there's an individual who decides that they will not pursue fitness or having a good lifestyle, they will most likely end up with some type of problem further down the line. So if the problem initially was a discomfort that they had, that they were not willing to sacrifice, they were not willing to sacrifice their comfort in the moment, they suffered later on. So the sacrifice remained. It was still a sacrifice. It was just delayed. I'd much rather choose the sacrifice because it's inevitable, rather than later down the line be forced to be handed one. And linking to sacrifices, anytime you say yes, you're essentially opening a door, but at the same time you're closing another one. And anytime you're saying no to something, you're saying yes to something else. So I think that's interesting in terms of the sacrifices that we make. If you were to go about this and say, okay, from now on I will choose the sacrifice that I make, it will mean that you're saying yes to that sacrifice and no to another sacrifice. And also linking to this is that these sacrifices are not like singular. They add up. So our individual choices, they accumulate over time. So you may feel like, okay, I'm not willing to do certain things. And in the moment, that's fine. Or at least that's what you think, but each day that you keep those same habits, let's say, it just accumulates over time. And those habits of yours, they can either accumulate in your favor or accumulate against you, kind of in a compound interest manner, either for you or against you, in a positive or a negative manner. I think that's also another important thing to reflect on, that in the moment we might feel that these choices that we're making, these individual choices are just singular, but in reality they add up over time and they just keep accumulating. Perhaps something I may need to start doing is that, with regard to my own individual choices, perhaps ask myself, is this something that I want to continue doing on a daily basis the next, let's say, 10 years? And if it's not, then why should I continue doing it right now? I think that's food for thought. And kind of linking to this, these choices that accumulate, it's a snowball effect. And this, in a way, inspiring, because let's say you begin a positive habit. Chances are that positive habit leads to another positive habit. So you just like propelling yourself forward in like a positive direction. And in a way that's very empowering. So that could mean that perhaps starting out will be very difficult, but over time, as you do positive actions, those positive actions accumulate and lead to more positive actions. But the scary part is the opposite is true as well. Negative actions accumulate and they can lead to more negative actions. Let's say you procrastinate, and you're in a state of procrastination. Chances are you may fall back into other negative habits, either whilst you're procrastinating or after you procrastinate, kind of to deal with the stress of feeling like, oh, I'm procrastinating, and not knowing how to deal with it at the time properly. But I think when I was saying this, when I was writing this down, what occurred to me is that you may think to yourself, well, in that case I'm doomed, because I kind of do positive habits sometimes, but a lot of the times I'm doing negative stuff. But you don't need to be perfect. The goal is to progress forward. So if you have negative habits or you're doing things in your life which you're not happy about, as long as you progress forward, progression continues. So you should just focus on the day, winning the day, because those days add up. Just like you won't like focus on building a house, just lay a brick first, and you can win by 1 point. You can go there, late game winner, 1 point. That's all it takes. Just try to win the day. Try to just be a bit more positive than you are negative. Just try to take 3 steps forward, even if it means that you've taken 2 steps back in the process. Just try to propel yourself forward, even if it's just by just a slight margin. And I think thinking in that mindset is empowering, because you might feel like life's too hard, but as long as you can just go forward by a small margin, eventually those small margins add up. You may feel like those small margins are insignificant, but just like I said with accumulation, it's far from insignificant, because if you improve by 1% each day over a year span, you're 37 times better. So those small incremental improvements add up over time. That's it for the video. This went actually was quicker than I thought it'd be. It's my first video. Hopefully more to come. Yeah, hopefully more to come. We'll see how this goes. That's it, man. Salam.